All right, speaking of the fan experience, I'm going to shift over to the Commanders. All right.
Yeah.
We've seen some of these drawings, and I know it's not passed yet by the city council, but exciting news. Congratulations on what's happening with the stadium and RFK. Can you tell us what you're shooting for, your goals for the fans experience? We took a bunch of calls when the news broke about tailgating, and some people are worried about the future of tailgating and what it's going to be like. Can you kind of fill us in on the future?
Yeah, I think you guys have seen what the team's put out, and making this an extraordinary fan experience, just like we've been talking about at the tennis, but one of the best fan experiences in football is one of the top priorities. Thinking about it from the pregame to the postgame and the entire experience. Again, interestingly, talking about tennis, about how you turn it into an incredible full day experience that you're excited about from beginning to end is sort of the mission. And, look, there's a lot of considerations and trade-offs you have to make, because also this has to be a thriving community every day of the year. That's really something that we feel passionate about, and obviously the city does too. And I think in the end, it's going to be one of the great sporting experiences going to that site when it's finally built.
So, Mark, at this point, are you more worried or confident about the D.C. Council having enough yes votes to approve that stadium build at the RFK site?
Honestly, I think that the merits of this are incredibly compelling. I think everyone's heard all the reasons that this makes so much sense. I think two things that I think maybe don't get quite as much attention. One is just that, the mayor, as part of this, insisted that we put a dome on it. And that was an interesting, thing in our mind, but that was a requirement. And because of that, we're going to be able to get the biggest events in the world. And I was co-chair of the bid to bring the 2026 World Cup to D.C. as a city. And basically, after we went through the process, they said you can't do it at our current football stadium. It was before we were involved and before we had put some money into it. But they said, if you're going to bid for D.C., you need to play in you have to bid with the stadium in Baltimore. And we ended up not getting the World Cup, which, by the way, comes with 3 teams staying here, all their fans, all this stuff. A massive missed opportunity. When we first got involved in the team, I was like, we gotta find a way to get Taylor Swift here. That'll make it. And she just wouldn't come to the current stadium. And you can go on and on and on. There's a Club World Cup this summer that's going on. There's just so many events. You heard Roger leave no promises to a Super Bowl, but you did see the draft, which will be 1 million people. The catalyst for tourism at a time when the D.C. economy needs it most is this will be as big a catalyst as I can't imagine anything bigger. And so I think when people study all of it, they'll realize that the benefits of this are really, really significant and something that should happen.
Yeah, because we've all seen the way that Navy Yard, we're broadcasting a few blocks away from that, the Wharf, right. Other spots. So you feel like this RFK site's just going to go above and beyond even what's happened down here near Nationals Park.
Such a great point. I remember I actually owned the land under the D.C. United Stadium before it became the stadium. And I used to go down there. It was a salvage yard and an abandoned, and it wasn't abandoned. It was an old warehouse. And that's what everything was like. And now you go down there and it's the most, heavily populated new residential area in the city. And then you mentioned the wharf, and absolutely that's modeled. And this has a potential to be, I think the size is 4 wharfs. You just think about over a long period of time what this can be, both for the residents as a community, but then again as a magnet for tourism. And if you think about it, this really is an intentional strategy for the mayor. As the D.C. economy is shifting, as federal government may get a little bit smaller, and there's a multiplier effect, lean into what your strength is. And tourism, D.C. is one of the most popular tourist destinations in America, so create things that create more tourism, more dollars coming from out of town, more jobs for people. And a stadium like this is going to be an extraordinary catalyst for all that economic activity.